I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons. First, thank you so much to my Bibliosprend, Bibliohowler, Bibliomancers, and my new Bibliomancer, DJ38. It means a lot to me that you give me your extra support to my passion and hobby. Hi everyone, Petrik here. So because we are nearing the end of the month, so it is time to talk about all the books that I want to read next month in the month of October. Usually in the month of October, many booktubers or readers they start including horror books to read. And I don't usually read a lot of horror books, but I will try to include one this time. I will talk about that later. And on top of that, because I cannot decide which books I want to read before the end of the year, seriously, we are nearing the end of 2023. Time moves way too quickly to my liking, and because I cannot decide, I will just include 10 books. And these 10 books, there are 5 fantasy books and 5 sci-fi books. So yeah, I know it is a very ambitious. I definitely will not be able to get around to reading all of them, but no matter how many books I will manage to read next month, they will be among these 10 books. So yeah, I will start immediately, and of course, because it is the 1st of October, we are near the 1st of October. That means the 4th and final Secret Project novel by Brandon Sanderson, the ebook, will be out. I think a week after the ebook is out, I will post a review and I will mention the title. I might even showcase the cover art, because that's usually what Brandon Sanderson does, okay? No need to actually mock me insanely, mock me and other booktubers and also reviewers across plenty of social media that we are ruining your enjoyment. Brandon Sanderson himself posts about this. Honestly, all this drama about the Secret Project title is actually, well, it's actually kind of ruining the fun of reading the Secret Project novel, because originally I thought this would be something that would unite the community more, the fans of Brandon Sanderson's books more. Apparently not. It is the one that divides them further, unfortunately. And at the same time, I'm excited to read the 4th Secret Project, but at the same time, I'm also kind of glad that all this thing and the Secret Project thing, all the drama will be over soon. And yes, I'm still very excited to read the 4th and final Secret Project novel. I do not think it will be as good as Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, but I think at the very least it will be better than the 2nd Secret Project novel, The Frugal Wizard. And yeah, I look forward to reading it. And once I'm done with that, I will read probably another Brandon Sanderson book that I couldn't get around to this month. And it is Starsight, the 2nd book in the Skyward series. I really enjoyed Skyward. I have talked about it on my YouTube channel, and I have posted a full review regarding my thoughts on Skyward. But other than that, I really look forward to reading Starsight. Some fans of Brandon Sanderson have told me they actually felt that the quality of the storytelling actually degrade a bit in Starsight, but some have also mentioned that they think it's at least as good as Skyward. However, Cytonic, the 3rd book in the Skyward series, is where a lot of people started to feel, well, let's just say that they did not like the book. And I guess I will find out when I get around to it. I was planning to read Cytonic in the month of October, but again, TBR pal and also the busyness of my life is just not possible. I will read Starsight next month instead. So that's 2 sci-fi novels already, and the next one will be a novella. But this one, this is not by Brandon Sanderson, except that this will be The Lesser Devil, the 1st novella in the Sun Eater series. As far as I know, this one actually takes place after the events of Empire of Silence regarding Hadrian Marlowe's brother. At the time of recording this video, I haven't finished reading Empire of Silence yet, so I do not want to jinx my experience with it. But let's just say this, I will definitely post a full review of Empire of Silence next week. And also, I definitely will continue reading this series. And with that in mind, after I'm done reading Lesser Devil, then I will read the 2nd book in the Sun Eater series, Howling Dark. And this is, I think if I remember correctly, this is where many people start to really love this series. And I consider this to be, it is a hard decision, but I consider this to be the best cover art of the entire series so far. Love this cover art very much. I don't even have any idea who this guy actually is. So no spoiler for now. I look forward to finding that out on my own, but I look forward to reading Howling Dark and find out why many people really love this one and also the third book in the series, Demon in White. I do not think I will be reading Demon in White in the month of October. That will probably take place in the month of November. So yeah, that's how many books now? 4 sci-fi books. And the last possible sci-fi novel I'm going to read in the month of October, it will be The Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez. In the back of the book, it is written, I expected many things from this trip. I did not expect a family. And many fans of Simon Jimenez and also fans of sci-fi really, they have mentioned that this is a great character-driven sci-fi novel. It is a standalone, which is always a plus for me. And I also have a copy of The Spear, the Spear that cuts through water, but I want to read The Vanished Bird first because I heard The Spear Cuts Through Water is a more bizarre and also experimental fantasy novel, which somehow has actually won the best fantasy novel of the year in the British Fantasy Award, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I look forward to reading The Vanished Bird 2 within next month. And I want to say thank you so much once again to Evie for sending me a copy of The Vanished Bird and The Spear Cuts Through Water for me to read and review. Very excited to get around to reading this one finally. And before I talk about the 5 possible fantasy books I'm going to read next month, let me showcase the horror book that I'm going to read. It will be Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. Pretty much heard nothing but great things about this. Stephen King loved it. Many booktubers loved it. I absolutely have no idea what this book is about, but I plan to dive into this one with as little knowledge as possible. As I said though, I don't read a lot of horror books, but not gonna lie, I'm kinda excited to read this one in the month of October, even though we don't actually celebrate Halloween here because every month is always a horror already as a reader in Indonesia. It is difficult, okay, to be a fantasy and sci-fi reader in Indonesia. But anyway, looking forward to reading this one in the month of October. Now it's time to talk about the 5 possible fantasy books that I want to read next month. And of course, I have to mention Unbound by Michael Miller. Recently, I just posted a full review regarding my thoughts on Ascendant, the first book in the Songs of Chaos series. A great Dragon Rider epic fantasy, Dragon Rider epic progression fantasy series. And because I really enjoyed reading that one, I have made it very clear that I want to continue reading the series, especially because many people said that Unbound and Defiant, the second and the third book in the series, is even better than Ascendant. I think that's usually the case when it comes to reading Dragon Rider fantasy lately. That was my experience with The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill, and then it was the same with the Echo Saga by Philip C. Quantrill. And of course, I love Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. So let's see whenever that sequel comes out whether I will end up loving that one or Dragon Mage more. But for now, I have this Dragon Rider epic fantasy series to read. This cover art is done by Randy Vargas. And yeah, this actually features a Dragon Rider riding a blind dragon. It's something that somehow elevated my experience of reading the first book, Ascendant. And let's see how everything will progress in the second book, Unbound. And after that, maybe I will do a second read of The Mirror's Truth. I think this is the 3rd time I mention The Mirror's Truth on my TBR pile. But I tried reading The Mirror's Truth this month, but it felt like I wasn't in the right reading mood for it. So I will just consider this second read as a part of my horror reading month, because this one is a absolutely grimdark fantasy novel. This is the second book in the Manifest Delusion series by Michael Fletcher, and yeah, hopefully this time I will be in the right reading mood for it. It's not even because of the darkness really, but I just felt that I have read and experienced this tale, and I remember the story in The Mirror's Truth apparently much more than the one in Beyond Redemption. But darkness and horror aren't the only fantasy books that I want to read in the month of October. I also want to read this continuation or prequel cozy fantasy novel, and that is Bookshops and Bondas by Travis Baldree. This is the prequel novel about secondhand bookshops, but still features the main characters, Viv, but chronologically the story takes place before the events of Legends and Lattes. My expectation for this one is only that I want to have a cozy and great time reading this one, and hopefully I can get that again, just like how it was in Legends and Lattes with the bookshops and Bondas. I have owned an advanced reading copy of this one for several months, and it's kind of crazy that I still haven't read it, but this one is a short book. I think in total, the total word count doesn't even reach 100,000 words long, so I should be able to read this one in 2 days or maybe even 1 day if it's not boring. Anyway, looking forward to reading this. And finally, the last 2 books, because I cannot decide, and these are actually my Patreon's pick of the month. I asked my Patreon because right now I actually have a copy of a few 2024 fantasy book release, and they are The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan, and also The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, and finally Fate of Folk by Eliza Chan. The total number of votes are pretty close, but the final result, it seems like there will be a tie between The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett and also The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan. The Silver Blood Promise will be a debut novel by James Logan, and it will feature thieves as the main characters, and somehow the premise and also the setting of this book somehow just reminded me of the lives of Locke Lamora or even Mistborn, and that is a huge plus for me because I love the lives of Locke Lamora and also Mistborn. The Lives of Locke Lamora, for those of you who don't know, is by Scott Lynch, and Mistborn is by Brandon Sanderson. So I look forward to reading The Silver Blood Promise if I actually get around to reading that within October, but if not, that will go to the month of November. So let's see which one I will read, either that or The Tainted Cup. The Tainted Cup is the newest book by Robert Jackson Bennett, and Robert Jackson Bennett has always been one of my favorite authors, and this one I think will feature a detective, kind of like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, in a fantasy setting that is reminiscent to, I think some have actually said, Attack on Titan, and that is such a great premise, okay, because I absolutely love Attack on Titan, and based on the map that I have seen, I think I can kind of see with all the walls and also the giants why readers have mentioned Attack on Titan when they're talking about The Tainted Cup. So yeah, I have no idea which one I will read. It's either The Silver Blood Promise or The Tainted Cup, but whichever do not get read by me next month, they will go to the month of November. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the books that I want to read, and if possible, I do not think it is possible, I also want to read Iron Prince by Bryce O'Connor. But this one is a massive book, but the second book, Fire Song, is coming out in Halloween. Yeah, in Halloween. So I might as well get around to reading this highly praised and popular progression science fantasy. But if I don't have the time, then this will also go to the month of November. So yeah, it is a very chaotic reading month. I have no idea which one will get read, but I'm certainly excited to read all of them. And for manga, I actually have only one manga that I plan to read, and it is to always read the newest chapter in Jujutsu Kaisen by Gege Akutami. Gege, yeah, if you have read the latest chapters in Jujutsu Kaisen, you will know of the chaos that has happened. It's absolutely insane. It is insane. It's probably the craziest thing to ever happen in Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's saying a lot, for better or worse. I look forward to reading all the newest chapters in Jujutsu Kaisen, without a doubt. So yeah, that's it. That's all the books and manga series that I want to read next month. Do let me know what you think about my reading plan for next month in the comment section down below, and of course do tell me what are some of the books that you hope to get around to reading next month. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.